most people might have heard of it, but they don't really know what it is. And I'd have to say, I learned something on the definition of a qualified plan. And I'm sure you already knew it, Cameron. So I'm not even going to ask you. Okay.
I'm
Because
sure
I
I
know
do.
you knew it. But did you know an IRA is not a qualified plan?
Of course I knew that.
Okay, right.
Of course.
Qualified plans are ones that are employer sponsored and they follow certain tax code
Hmm.
from the IRS. But an IRA is an individual plan and it doesn't follow some of the same regulations. So calling this broadly a qualified plan is inaccurate. So I started thinking, well, what can we call them?
Yeah.
So I started thinking a government created plan,
Okay.
a GCP.
Okay. Well,
Right.
what are these GCPs that you're
Well,
referencing?
yeah, I don't know if that thing's going to stick, but we will see. But what we're talking about here is really we're kind of lumping a few different types of plans. So IRAs, 401ks, Roth, SEPs. Then there's simple IRAs. There's 403bs, 457. Basically, any of these accounts created by the government, we're kind of wrapping them around into one.
Mm.
And I know we'll probably be referring to them as a IRA just because we got to come up with something. And if we do a GCP, right, since we just dropped that wisdom today, maybe not everybody will understand. So as we're explaining this, I might say IRA, but I'm referring also to a 401k or a 457 or whatever.
Got it. And if you guys, right, so that is a disclaimer. There's going to be some broad generalizations here.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have specific questions, feel free to comment. We'll address those, or feel free to reach out to us. We'll make sure we got a link in there to discuss your situation. But Anthony, let's talk about these GCPs. Right? Let's talk about these things. Why do people fund them?
You know, what I think is that they're looking for that immediate gratification of lowering their taxes today, but they have the myth that they're being a lower tax bracket when they retire.
I thought
We're going to dive a little more deeper into that, but
yeah.
go ahead.
No, you just referenced as a myth, and I just assume that talking to accountants throughout the history of my career that was tried and true truth, right? That was set in stone.
Yeah, you know what? And that's what I thought too. That's what they teach you in CPA school, right? And so we are going to have a section in there to discuss that myth. But what I would say, well, or they also might do it. They might do a Roth because those distributions are currently tax free. And I'm saying currently because I know I'd mentioned on an episode we did a while back where I don't know what time frame, let's say 20 years. Okay. In 20 years, there will be some form of taxation on a Roth IRA. You're already getting a 1099 for it. So the government tracking is already there. And what I believe they will do, similar when they add something like a new tax or even the income tax, they're going to pick on the ultra wealthy, right? Oh, this guy, no reason why this person should have whatever the number is, might be $5 million inside there, so they're going to have to start taking it out. They will be coming after that plan. But here's the biggest problem with those reasons is people are making that decision solely because of taxes. And taxes should be a piece of the puzzle, but I never think the sole decision on an investment or an account or when to sell it, the sole logic in use in making a determination should never be solely on tax. Tax should just be part of the puzzle, but it's not the entire piece. And another reason why I think people use these plans, these GCPs, that's all they know, right? That's what their friends are doing. That's the advice that they're getting from Wall Street, from their parents, their coworkers, their employers. They don't really know of any other opportunities outside of IRAs. And, they're also mandating it. What is interesting, my daughter was automatically enrolled when she was working when she had a job a couple of years ago.
Mm.
And even my son automatically enrolled, and they were actually started taking money out of his check. I mean, a lot of times you're just signing all that paperwork when you get hired, and you're just kind of sign here,
Yeah.
and then he got pissed. But you know what I think is interesting, and this is a quote from our mentor Nelson Nash, who is the founder and author of Becoming Your Own Banker and the Infinite Banking Concept. And what he had said is that lawmakers create a problem by spending money that they don't have, which results in strangling taxation. And then they create a solution in the form of an exception to the rules they created.
Mm.
So always be aware when the government's going to be there to be the savior or whatever solution they have to the problem that they created. Now, Kim, so we're gonna, before we dive in more of kind of how to take the money out, I'd like to hear a little bit more of what's your thoughts on these plans, GCPs.
Thoughts of two things. First thing that comes to mind was I liked Nelson's quote there, which results in strangling taxation. I like that adjective, and oftentimes I've described debt as suffocating. Right. So you're meeting with a client and they have this debt that they've been carrying, and it's just this huge, heavy burden in their weight. And I like that strangling taxation. I'm going to steal that for sure. So you guys will hear that one again. My thoughts on plans, man, I like them. Right. I love them. I want some more of them. I don't know who that was. It's a country song, but no, that's a joke. I think they're terrible. I'm not a big fan of them. And I really can appreciate your sentiment a minute ago, because I have this conversation a lot with clients as well. And it's become the default investment avenue for a lot of people. And man, you know what? Most time, more often than not, it's not any fault of their own, right? Somebody starts their industry, starts their career. HR pulls them in and says, hey, we got a great opportunity for you. You can start saving money in the 401k plan or retirement plan. And so that's what they do. And there's some problems with that. We've discussed it before, but the biggest issue is that there's no education that comes along with that. And when people start going down that road, there is this sense of uneasiness as they have no control. They don't know what's happening. They don't know how it's going to turn out. And so that's often a lot of times when people reach out to us is they're looking for an alternative.
You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.